Hello and welcome to the session where I'll be taking us through the Cum Laude Tracking, which is part of the Program Analyst. And the Program Analyst is a component of the Autoscholar Advisor system. So to access the Cum Laude Tracking, you will enter the Program Analyst component, and you've been given the access credentials. So your user ID and password, you would enter that there and click on login, and then you can just close that. And to access Cum Laude Tracking, first you'll end up on this page where it's about selecting a program. So you don't need to do anything here. You would just go straight over here to where it says cohort tracking. And then you'll see the Cum Laude student identification. So you can enter the academic program code here, and this is something you might need to look up. So it's not going to recognize the descriptive name for the academic program. You do need to have the strict program code, and there ensure that you have all uppercase and there are no spaces and things like that. Then here you choose the cohort for which you would like to determine cum laude characteristics. So you choose the cohort entry here, and then here you can see the criteria. And this is not so much for cum laude, but this is for looking at the various classes of pass. And this is quite simplified, and I think the required percentages are not correct. So you can customize this, you can just edit this, and you can add more criteria if you like. For now, just to make sure that you are able to work with it, I would suggest just leaving this as it is. And then for the cum laude credit weighted average percent, we have that. And for summa cum laude, that's the value. So at this institution, these are the default values for the cum laude criterion. For particular academic programs, you may have additional criteria. So you might require, for example, that in a particular course or module that you have above a certain minimum. So these are additional criteria that you might want to implement. And these are taken from a real example. So you can edit these, you can add to these, you can add as many criteria to your cum laude tracking as you like. So if everything is in place, if you've logged in correctly, and if you've specified your rules properly here, you can go ahead and click Identify Cum Laude. And you can see it's loading up some data in the background. And now it's served up some results. Please note here that we are hashing the student names. So when you go ahead and use the system, you'll see the real first name and the real last name here and the real student number. So for this video, we've switched on student anonymization so that, of course, we save a bit on the editing work of the video. So just expect to see your actual student names and student numbers there. So let's look at the results we have. Well, in this academic program, there are no summa cum laude or cum laude students. Nobody has made these criteria. So, or these criteria should be pointing here. It does give us some other information. And let's just change our criteria so that we can get some results to work with. So let's drop the requirements to 65% here and to 70% for summa cum laude. And let's rerun this. So loading again. Okay, and now we at least have 3 cum laude students. We still don't have summa cum laude, but anyway, you can see here under the cum laude students, again, the name is hashed, but it's showing you that the student has accumulated 584 credits over the 4 years. And we can see here, it is still correctly telling us this is a second class pass. So remember, we had relaxed these requirements, but we hadn't changed this. So it's telling us that the student is on track to graduate with a second class degree. And it's giving us the reasons why the student is on track for cum laude. So under these reduced requirements, the student has maintained an average of more than 65%. So in fact, this student would have been on track for summa cum laude, except for this one semester where the result was below the required 70% according to our reduced criteria. And I would say these are cases where perhaps we could look into the student's profile and see if there were issues that may motivate that this be upgraded to a 70% and that the student can still graduate summa cum laude. So in the cases where the student has just missed it, sometimes this helps us pick up that there may be a case to look into motivations and so on. So that's one application of this. The other one, the original intention, is that you can now use this to figure out who's currently on track to graduate cum laude and what advice needs to be given to these students to ensure that they go ahead and do graduate cum laude and summa cum laude and so on. Now, in addition to this, we scrolling down here, we can see there is other information about the students who did complete, but not on summa cum laude or cum laude. So it's showing us the number of points below which the student, so the number of points by which the student has just missed on being cum laude. So it's highlighting here that because the student failed a course in the second semester of the first year, that the cum laude is not possible there, and so on. So so the credit-weighted averages in some cases are good, but there were issues in some of the semesters. So that helps us understand to what extent students have missed being cum laude and the specific reasons for that. And if you scroll down further, you will also find students who have not yet completed. So here's a student who is still in the system. So started in the cohort that we specified, but has not completed as yet. And when we look here, we can see that this student is currently on track to graduate with a third-class degree. And the advice here to the student is that you can get to the second-class status if you can raise your remaining credits. So in the remaining courses that you're studying, if you can raise your average to 73%, or so if you can get around 74% in your remaining credits, so in the last few courses that you are completing, if you can get 74%, then you can move from a third class to a second class status. And it's also showing us information about the other reasons that the student is not listed as being cum laude. So overall, this system is trying to accomplish a couple of different things. Number one, it's first shifting the gaze from this kind of deficit-based view to a view of that the student can do better, and it helps to identify the target for the student to improve their overall graduation status. And it's also helping us direct the student support to areas where students may need some advice about maintaining the good status they have achieved. So quite often the support is directed just to avoidance of failure, whereas if we can increase our own aspirations to advise students towards real success, then we might get better overall results. So that's what you can use from the cum laude identification part. There are other aspects in here that may be interesting, especially around analyze program. But anyway, that's it for the cum laude tracking. Thanks for listening.